The Samsung Galaxy S21 series is finally official. I've had an early first look, and here's everything you need to know. What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and it looks like pretty much all the leaks and rumors were spot on accurate, but now we have the official information. We can break everything down, look at the differences between the devices, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'll know which one to go for. So as expected, we've got three new Samsung Galaxy S21s. There is the S21, the S21 Plus, and the S21 Ultra. The S21 is the smallest with a 6.2-inch display. The S21 Plus has a 6.7-inch display, and the S21 Ultra, the largest, with a 6.8-inch display. All devices have small bezels with an infinity or punch out. They all have Gorilla Glass Victus. They all have dynamic AMOLED displays, and they all have a maximum refresh rate of 120 Hz. The similarities stop there, however. The S21 and the S21 Plus are quite different otherwise compared to the S21 Ultra. Let's break down all of the differences. Firstly, the brightness. The S21 and the S21 Plus have a peak brightness of 1300 nits. The S21 Ultra does have a peak brightness of 1500 nits. 1300 is more than good enough, but 1500 just means that the S21 Ultra will be better to view outdoors. The S21 and the S21 Plus also have a full HD plus resolution. The S21 Ultra has a quad HD plus resolution. Now, this is the first time in many years that Samsung has gone back on the resolution on one of their S devices, so it might be disappointing for some of you. However, I think for most people, it should be fine. If we do go back to last year and take a look at the likes of the S20 series, as well as the Note 20 Ultra, all of those, although they did have Quad HD plus resolution, you could only have that resolution at 60 Hz. As soon as you wanted to switch to that smoother 120 Hz, you would drop down to Full HD plus resolution. And personally speaking, on my Note 20 Ultra, which I've been using since last year, it has been on Full HD and it's been generally absolutely fine. So this is going to come down to your personal preference. If you do want all of the bells and whistles, then the S21 Ultra is the one to go for. And for the first time on a Samsung device, the S21 Ultra also can support 120 Hz with Quad HD plus resolution. So you can have that high resolution with that high refresh rate. Also, the S21 Ultra does have the ability to switch between 11 or 120 Hz, making it a lot more efficient. The S21 and the S21 Plus, however, can only switch between 48 and 120 Hz. So although you do have that adaptive refresh rate, it's not going to be as efficient as the S21 Ultra. And the final difference between the displays is something that you might actually prefer on the S21 and the S21 Plus, and that's that they have a flat display, whereas the S21 Ultra does have some curves on the side. Now, this is something that Samsung has had for quite some time, but it looks like they are starting to move away from it. I think it's going to come down to personal preference. Some people do prefer curved displays, some people do prefer flat displays. Now let's move on to the design and the build. So Samsung has now updated their design, and we have the camera modules kind of melting in to the edges of the devices, and we do have metal frames across all the devices. However, there are some key differences in terms of the material. The S21 Plus and the S21 Ultra do have glass panels on the back, whereas the S21 standard has a plastic back, what Samsung like to call glastic. So it's not going to be as premium as the S21 Plus and the S21 Ultra. Again, I think this is going to come down to personal preference. Most people do tend to put their device in a case, and if that is the case for you, then I don't think it's going to be that much of a big deal, because you're not necessarily going to be feeling that all the time. And having used the Samsung Galaxy S20 FE for the past few months, I can tell you that personally speaking, it's not a big deal for me. It might be for you. Now, all three devices do have an IP68 water and dust resistance rating, which is always nice to have. And they all have a matte finish, which I'm a big fan of. In previous years, Samsung has usually offered matte as well as glossy backs, but this time we have got matte across the board. Now, we've got some different color options. There's 4 color options available for the S21. 3 color options available for the S21 Plus and 2 color options available for the S21 Ultra. And the flagship color for the S21 and the S21 Plus is the Phantom Violet, which, let's be real, let's just call it the Thanos edition.
Perfectly balanced.
It looks like there are lots of Marvel fans in Samsung's design team. Now let's move over on to the cameras. So we do have more differences here. The camera module on the S21 Ultra is much larger compared to the S21 and the S21 Plus. That is because it has more cameras. Initially, let's look at the S21 and the S21 Plus. They have the same cameras. There's a 10 megapixel selfie camera, and then we have a triple rear-facing camera setup. There's a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera, a 12 megapixel primary camera, and then a 64 megapixel telephoto zoom camera, which is going to give you 3 times optical zoom. Now the camera setup seems very similar to what we had on the S20 series last year, but the S21 Ultra is really where we have a lot more of the improvements. Firstly, there's a 40 megapixel selfie camera, and on the rear we've got quite a few cameras. We've got 4 cameras in total, as well as a laser autofocus sensor. Let's break these cameras down. So we've got a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Now the key thing here is this camera has dual pixel autofocus, which we don't have on the S21 and the S21 Plus. And this is gonna allow you to also use the ultra wide camera as a macro camera. So when you do get to subjects around 10 centimeters or closer, then it's gonna switch the focus and you'll be able to get some really nice macro shots. Now, this isn't the gimmicky 2 megapixel macro cameras that we're talking about. This is actually gonna be using the 12 megapixel ultra wide camera sensor to focus in closer. We've seen something like this on the OnePlus series as well as a few Oppo devices, and it's something that I really do like. We then have the primary 108 megapixel sensor. Now this is the same size as what we had last year, but it is an improved sensor, which is supposed to give you 3 times more dynamic range, and it's also capable of capturing 12-bit RAW files. It also has optical image stabilization, and it's going to use the laser autofocus sensor to help it focus, which was a problem with the S20, so it's nice that Samsung has improved this. And then we have 2 telephoto cameras. There is a 3 times as well as a 10 times zoom camera. Both have optical image stabilization as well as dual pixel autofocus. Now this is a similar setup to what we've seen on the Huawei P40 Pro Plus last year, and it just gives you a lot more scope with your zoom. You're not just stuck to one extreme or another. Samsung has said that they've also improved the zoom, so we do have a zoom lock feature which kicks in when you are zooming in at extremes. You can zoom all the way up to 100 times, which I'm still not too keen on, but of course guys, we are going to be doing a SuperSaf style camera comparison as soon as we can. Definitely let me know in the comments below which device you'd like me to compare the S21 Ultra cameras to first. And also, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't already. Now we've also got some improvements for videos. So firstly, we do have 8K at up to 24 frames a second, as we did have last year. This is across all the S21 series devices. But we now have 4K at 60 frames a second across all of the cameras of the S21 Ultra. We also do have 4K up to 60 frames a second on most the S21 and the S21 Plus's cameras, except the telephoto camera. The telephoto camera does not have 4K 60, that only goes up to 4K 30 frames a second. I'm not sure how much of a big deal that's going to be for most people, but it's nice to see that consistency at least on the S21 Ultra. There's also a lot of new software features. One of those is Directive View, which will give you some more advanced features for the cameras and also let you preview the different lenses before you do switch to them. We've also got Single Take 2.0, which is going to use multiple cameras to put together a piece for you. I personally don't use this that much myself, but we'll see how much it's been improved. And we also have Vlogger View, which will let you capture video from the front and the rear facing cameras at the same time. Now let's move on to the performance. So the S21 series, as we've seen previously from Samsung, will vary depending on your region. Some regions will be getting the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset. Other regions will be getting Samsung's Exynos 2100. Now the 2100 was announced by Samsung a few days ago, and it does seem to have lots of improvements compared to last year, but we're gonna have to wait until I've got the devices in hand, both the UK version and the US version, so I can really do more of a comparison for longer term usage. Make sure you are subscribed to see that. As soon as I can get hold of the Qualcomm version, I will be doing lots of tests. For storage and RAM, the S21 and the S21 Plus come with 8 gigabytes of RAM. The S21 Ultra does come with 12 gigabytes of RAM, so it is going to be a multitasking beast. And for storage, we do have 128 and 256 gigabytes across all devices, and the S21 Ultra does come with a 512 gigabyte version, UFS 3.1 storage. But as you may have already heard, there is some bad news. The S21 series does not have a micro SD card slot. RIP to the micro SD card slot. Should we have a moment of silence for it? Okay, no. Right, so when it comes to the micro SD card slot, personally speaking, because of the differences of speed based on UFS 3.1 storage and even some of the fastest micro SD card slots, I do see why Samsung has done this, but let me know what you think. One of the positives that we do have is that Samsung is only going to be charging around £50 more if you do want to go for the 256 gigabyte option. So I think that is pretty reasonable if we look at it that way. I'm not defending them. Again, let me know what you guys think. For software, all devices do come with Android 11 out of the box with Samsung's One UI 3.1. And all of the devices also have a brand new fingerprint sensor. It is the Qualcomm 3D Sonic Sensor Gen 2. Now this is 1.7 times larger compared to the previous generation, and it's also 50% faster. This is something that I'm really looking forward to. I really do like good in-display fingerprint scanners, and this improvement is definitely welcomed. The S21 Plus and the S21 Ultra also have ultra wideband technology, and this will allow a few things. Samsung have talked about using the devices as a digital touchless key for your car. There is improved Android Auto, and there's also integration with smart things from Samsung, so you'll be able to get some smart tags to be able to locate them much more easily. The S21 Ultra also comes with some unique features which you won't get on the S21 and the S21 Plus. Firstly, we do have hyper-fast Wi-Fi 6E, which can give you up to 4 times faster Wi-Fi speeds. And the S21 Ultra, as you may have already heard, does have support for the S Pen. This is the first time we've got S Pen support on a Galaxy S device, and this isn't going to be included. It's going to be an accessory that's sold separately, bundled with a case, because there is no space in the S21 Ultra for the S Pen like you have on the Note series. I'm not sure of the exact pricing as yet for the cases, but I really think this is a good move from Samsung because it does bring the S Pen, which I personally use all the time, to the Galaxy S series, but it is optional, so it's not something that you have to have. All devices do have stereo speakers, and let's move on to the batteries. So based on the size of the devices, of course, the S21 does have the smallest battery, 4,000 milliamps. The S21 Plus has a 4,800 milliamp battery, and the S21 Ultra with the biggest 5,000 milliamp hour battery. All devices do support up to 25 watt fast charging, up to 15 watts wireless charging. They all also have reverse wireless charging, where you can use the devices to charge maybe some Galaxy Buds or another device altogether. But none of the devices come with a charger or earphones out of the box. Now, this has been something that's been rumored for some time, but it's now officially confirmed. Samsung is not including this. And I mean, it's controversial. Personally speaking, I do use wireless charging mostly, so not having a charger is not the biggest deal for me. The problem I do have is the fact that Samsung were taking digs at Apple just a few months ago when Apple didn't include a charger. And this is something that, really does work me up. I've gone on about this in a full rant in my podcast on SuperSaf Speaks. Shameless plug there, why not? If you do want to hear that podcast, then I'll be linking that down below. Let me know what you guys think of Samsung not including the charger out of the box. One thing that might help the blow of not having a charger out of the box is the fact that the S21 series is priced lower, quite a bit lower actually, compared to what the S20 series came in at last year. So the Samsung Galaxy S21 is going to be starting at $800 or £769. The S21 Plus will be coming in at $1,000 or £950. The S21 Ultra starts at $1,300 or £1,150, which is, at least in the UK, significantly lower compared to what the S20 Ultra came in at last year. In terms of the release date, you can pre-order now. 29th of Jan is the official release date, but obviously before that, we are going to be doing lots more coverage here on the channel. Unboxing, camera comparison, hands-on. If you want to see all of that content first, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you don't miss any of that coverage that's coming up. What do you guys think of the Samsung Galaxy S21 series? Will you be picking one up? Which one will you be picking up? Definitely drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV, and I'll see you next time.